Alright, welcome back. As you can see, I have a total camera monstrosity in front of me right now. So we're just going to go into the world's first ever quick release Scorpion rig. So before I go over the main part of the build, I just kind of want to talk about our power supply back here because I know it looks a little bit confusing to some of you. I'm going to remove the camera from this right now because it's just a little bit too much is going on. Okay, so as you can see in the back, we have our wireless transmitter and we have our receiver over here if we need to plug this into a different monitor. So we have our wireless transmitter, we have a cable management box, I believe this is from the camera console, and then we have everything powered by a Sony NPF battery. Now that is because I have not yet invested into V-mounts, but as soon as I invest into V-mounts, these are just going to be regulated to charging other things or just doing wireless transmission because I do love these, but they're not extremely secure. I even have this set up on a quick release right now because it's so hard to get this tiny little piece back here to let you release what you need to in order to swap out batteries. So V-mount is the future. Don't do what I do as I say, not as I do. So replace this battery solution with V-mount for balance and for convenience. So now that that's locked in place, we have our two USB-C cables going through this camera console right here. We have a USB-C cable hooked out from the bottom and going under and then connecting into our wireless transmission right here. I think it's a wonderful system. It works really well, and all it takes is these two plates and a little bit of cable management. It works really well for what I need. This is a really clever and small system, and as soon as I get a V-mount, everything's gonna be so much easier. So next up, I wanna talk about the quick release systems. We're using the FALCAM system, which is by Ulanzi. We have two different inputs. We have on the bottom our F38, and then on the sides, we have our F22 inputs that allow you to basically have these smaller accessories and connect them to your camera with a small little click, and it's really easy to do this. There we go. If you already have a cage for your camera that's by FALCAM, then these things should connect pretty easily. Otherwise, you can use these F22 plates that you can see on top of my handle right here. You can see this F22 plate that I have right here. These are really great, and they just screw into any quarter 20 that you have. So why did I decide to make the world's first quick release Scorpion rig? Well, first of all, I fell in love with the idea of Scorpion rigs because I saw so many people on YouTube being very creative, and I just got very excited to create something that would allow me the versatility of something like a Ronin 4D, while at the same time being able to use the gear I already had and not needing to buy into a new system. So this system might look a little janky. That's because this is like version 3. I probably will have more versions in the future, but just know that this all works really well, and you can see how stable it is despite the awkward look. So obviously we have the camera cage, and we're not using any of these extra handles for the camera. What we are using, however, we are using the F22 for our monitor mount right here, and we're using a FieldWorld 4K high bright monitor. It gives us LUT features, but we already have it in my camera, so I don't really need to worry about it. We just have 4K HDMI input to our monitor, and that connects up here at the top of the gimbal. And then on the side of the gimbal, we have two magic arms connected, one right here and one right here, and they are both locked into place to either the gimbal to keep it from shaking, or we have it locked into the back of this base plate over here to give it more support. So if I just remove this really quickly, I untighten the arms, and you can see as soon as I untighten the arms how much more flimsy this gets. Oh, I pull it up. So I take this off and just kind of lay that to the side, and then we have the main crux of the build. We have the F38 plate onto a base plate right here. So this is the FALCAM F38 plate, and we have another FALCAM F38 plate connector right here to the bottom of the cheese plate, to which I connected the gimbal. So if I wanted to run the gimbal normally, I could still hold it. It would just be like a little bit awkward with the cheese plate at the bottom, but I could still totally use it. So that's what I love about this. I can use the gimbal, I can use the camera, I can combine the gimbal with the camera, and I can combine all of it onto the rig. It's really elegant because everything's on quick releases. So there's one note that if you're going to do a quick release version of the Scorpion rig that you really need to take caution with, it's that you get this specific plate from FALCAM. It's the one with 2 screw holes instead of just one. This will let you essentially turn this cheese plate into something that's rock solid and has no play with the plate. Otherwise, if you just use a single screw, there's a possibility of you twisting and turning, and then suddenly you no longer have that secure connection that you were depending on before from your quick release. That is a problem with all quick release plates, but in particular, this one has a solution. It's just 2 screws into the bottom of this cheese plate. On the bottom of here, you can see we have our F38 plate for the camera, so this can actually come into the rig. And now, if we just take that and then remove our magic arms from before, now we've got a regular old camera rig right here, a shoulder rig, and it's on quick release with a nice lock. This is, I'd go underslung here. We can take our monitor off of our gimbal and then just attach it to the top of our camera instead. And now we have a really nice handheld rig that gives us the same amount of versatility, and we can still use the gimbal on the side. It's still completely functional. I love how modular the system is. It really kind of lets my brain tinker and go wild. So the main things to go over with this rig are really just knowing where to put your F38s and your F22s. You want to use the F38 as much as possible. It's a much stronger connection. I also love that you can twist to lock the F38 so that no matter if you press in on it, it won't come loose. So if I was to attach my camera, for example, to this gimbal plate, if I pressed in on this, normally I would be loosening my plate connection. But because it's FALCAM, I can just twist it. Now that I've twisted it into the right position, I can press on it and nothing's gonna come loose. This is why I love the FALCAM system, because you're able to just lock things in place super easily. You might be able to see that on the gimbal I have an older version of the plate where it twists, and then on the rig I have the version with the switch and the button that you can either press in or out based on whether it's locked or not. The newer version is much better. I do like the ability to switch back and forth, and it's just a much cleaner connection rather than trying to get your fingers in and twist under areas that might be a little bit tight. I have not the biggest fingers in the world, but I can see that being hard for someone else. So let's just put the rig together really quickly. So first off, we're going to take our F22 magic arm. We just slide that in here and lock off our arm for now. So now we have our first point of contact. Now we're going to take our gimbal and slide it into place. So now it's locked and it won't move at all. So we loosen our magic arm and then attach it to this point up here. There we go. Then we just tighten down both sides of the magic arm. So now this is a very stable connection. The only play that's going on is with the gimbal arms themselves, and that will be taken care of once the motors are active. So now that we have this all in place, we want to put our monitor back on top. So let me take the monitor off of my camera really easily. And now we can put the monitor back where it was. So now we can feed our power around and make sure that our monitor is getting power. We just let our gimbal down, take our camera and attach it. Again with quick release. We just slide our camera into place and it locks. And now all we need to do is unlock the rest of our gimbal angles and turn it on. Very nice. And now we have a functional Scorpion rig with a quick release system that allows you to build this up and tear it down super easily. I absolutely love this system. I love this setup and I think it's really clutch. You can put it on your shoulder, tilt the monitor down, check out what you're doing. It also allows you to get really fun angles, like low angles right here, that would normally be much harder to get with a gimbal without having two hands and a third point of contact on your shoulder. You can also go for really low angles if you just turn the gimbal to face up as much as possible, and then suddenly you're pulling a really smooth shot that you would need like a slider or something else for, and you're just doing this with your focus and your monitor right here. It's perfect. It's great. I love this Scorpion rig. It's a little bit of a camera monster, and I think it's a lot of fun. You should go out and build one if you can. Maybe someone can figure out a more elegant HDMI solution than I have right now, or you guys can iterate on it. But again, thank you so much for watching, and if you feel like I missed anything, please let me know in the comments.